I do a lot of crying at night. No, it's why I made the investment. Coming into this wasn't a great year. 25 was not a great year. I kept thinking back, I'm like, if the upcycle is coming, now is the time to invest now, right at the beginning of it. So we accidentally invested at the right place at the right time with the situation, which might yield some crazy good dividends that I'm hoping for. Yeah, fingers crossed, man.
Jamie Hagen, Hell Bent Xpress out of Aberdeen, South Dakota. How are you, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself, Jack?
I'm doing pretty good, although things are pretty crazy these days, aren't they?
Yeah, they're fun filled.
I'm Jack Roberts. I'm executive editor at Heavy Duty Trucking Magazine, which is a far more impressive title than the work actually would lead you to believe. But ask Jamie. We talked to Jamie a good bit. He, of course, is a small fleet owner out of South Dakota. He is a social media influencer with a relationship with Mack Trucks. Perhaps you've heard of them. The Supreme Court ruled that if you're a broker, you just can't hire any old trucker fleet you've come across, and if there's an accident, get off scot-free. And one of the most immediate sort of social media reactions I saw to this was a lot of people on Jamie's Facebook page. So, Jamie, let's kind of start there. What did you think of the Supreme Court decision?
Well, I guess they did away with their ability to hide behind their exemption. Now they're just as culpable as the rest of us, right? Like, so, for me, I guess it's a good thing. Yeah, I know you can spin it both ways. You can spin it good, you can spin it bad, I guess. For me, looking at it, I think it's a good thing. I like the idea of that brokerages now have as much to lose as I do. We both got skin in the game. I can't just hire any guy off the street or gal for that matter, or alligator for that matter. You gotta hire someone that's capable of doing the job, and my insurance company demands it. Well, now, due to insurance requirements, I'm sure brokerages will have the exact same issue, and shippers too, by the way. This leaves the door open to them as well. So everybody in the food chain of this is now open to being, sued or litigated. So I I think it's a good thing. Time will tell. There's some predictions that bigger organizations, some of the big five brokerages might dominate now simply because they have the ability to fight. But so far in the last few days, I've seen a lot of positive stuff from brokerages talking how they're going to, maybe not take the low cost leader that might not have somebody that's legal to be in that truck. So I'm feeling positive.
I think, you mentioned the brokerage side of it. I think some of the initial pushback, at least I saw on your Facebook page, were owner operators, smaller fleets running older equipment. And I think, man, and look, let's get up front. You just bought a bunch of new Mack Pioneers, and I assume they are loaded with the latest safety equipment. And there were some fears, like from some smaller guys saying, well, if I want to run older equipment, which used to be a perfectly valid business model. You get a second, third generation truck, a diesel engine, you maintain it. Who knows how long it'll make you money. That sort of disappearing. I know you have always been an advocate of as new and modern equipment as you can afford to get your hands on. What about that side of the equation?
That's the hard part, isn't it? That's where you start to see guys that are in that segment not so happy with the ruling. Also, if you look at your one truck operators, their compliance might not be up to speed. I know plenty of guys with one truck. They've been doing it a while. I myself had one truck at one time, and I wasn't 100% on board with compliance simply because I didn't know enough. That's the crazy part, is the government will sell you an MC number for a few $100. And they just require in the next year that they are going to make sure you are complying with their rules. And that's all they do. They just say, here's the number. Now comply, and sometime in the next year or two, we're going to follow up with you and make sure you are doing that. There's guys out there that have never had a compliance, so they don't even know if they're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when it comes to litigation, I didn't realize when I worked for my own company, I was supposed to have a job application on file. Who knew that? So I didn't apply to my own company. So that in itself means I wasn't compliant. So, when I hired my wife to come aboard, and I should say bring on my wife as a business partner, she dove headfirst into that whole compliance thing, and she discovered all these little things, all these little nuances that maybe a one truck guy hasn't really dove into, which could leave him open to it. So I get it why guys aren't in favor of it. I also see why people are. I mean, it just
But at the
depends on what
same
side of the
time, it's hard
coin.
to argue the trend lines. They've been going this way for some time.
Hmm.
And this brings us into the nuclear verdict sandbox, where you're getting hammered, and now the plaintiff's attorneys have another entity they can go after, another lucrative entity. And so it seems to me, if you're a broker, you're going to have to start vetting the people you're doing business with. And they're probably going to want to know what your compliance is, what your safety record is, how new your trucks are, and what kind of safety equipment they're spec'd with.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge win for those that are willing to do it. Um, like I said, all of our stuff's with the most stuff you can get on it now with all the cameras and all that good jazz. And we hire great guys. That's the one thing we go after is great people that can do the job well. And that's the thing is we've all been fighting this battle now. Everyone wants that guy or gal, but can you hire them with these low of rates and maintain, and keep them? You know what I mean? Like there's never been a driver shortage. There's just been a shortage of pay.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I've realized. You pay people enough, they're willing to put up with a lot of bull crap, aren't they? You know what I mean? Like Heavy Duty Trucking Magazine probably isn't great to work for until they started paying you those big lumps of cash,
Oh,
and now you
yeah.
just love being there.
Yeah,
Your whole
absolutely.
attitude has improved. So yeah, it's amazing how that works. So you look at how many CDL holders are in this country. There's millions, and a huge percentage of them don't actually do a CDL job. They went and got their CDL, and then they left the industry because it just didn't pay what they felt it was worth. All the
I have
extra
a CDL, but
hassle.
obviously I'm not a daily driver.
Yeah, you're throwing off the curve, my friend. You and Jason.
Actually, I'm going to give mine up. I'm about to give mine up because seriously, the nuclear verdict thing has gotten so crazy. If I'm doing a Mack truck test drive on a public road and somebody pulls out in front of me, they're going to sue Mack. They're going to sue Heavy Duty Trucking. They're
Yeah,
going to sue me.
yeah. You're gonna get
You
that
know?
that high paying job you got.
Yeah. I mean, So, the other part, the interesting part of that, though, kind of going back to what you were just saying, is we've got the English language requirements now. We've seen the non-domiciled CLDs go out of the market. Really could be coming into a driver's job environment right now, where if you meet all the criteria and you've got a good safety record, I would imagine you can demand a premium for your services.
I would think so, and that's my goal. My goal is to raise not only my rate, but is to raise driver pay in our segment. You know what I mean? I'd love to see these guys making 100K plus a year for the job. That's what it's worth. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The sacrifice and the time invested, that's what it's worth. It's not that I never wanted to pay that. It's just, as it turns out, yeah, you're a business and you got to balance the books.
Looking at your new Pioneers, how many did you get, and what safety specs did you go with? Obviously, you didn't know this was coming down the pike, but just out of curiosity, how safe are you with your new trucks right now?
Well, we have 6 Pioneers and we do have 5 more on order. And all of them are coming with the collision mitigation system, the radar in the front, so it matches the speed of the person in front of you, so you don't, you know, bump into the back end of them. They have a fancy name for it, it's a great system. I like it. It's been working good, better than the previous generations. Less false positives, does a great job. I'm very impressed.
So the industry is pretty crazy these days. It seems like it's trying to recover from this grinding freight recession that's been going on forever. And it seems like every time it stirs a little bit, the carpet kind of gets pulled out from under its feet. The latest on this is the fuel prices, the Iran war. And you're looking at, gosh, diesel fuel, gas prices are going through the roof. So what's it like out there? How are you coping? I know you've been on CNN talking about this at least a couple of times, and you did a really
Yeah,
good job. Where do things stand right now?
I do a lot of crying at night. Um, no, it's why I made the investment. If I'm being completely honest, coming into this wasn't a great year. 25 was not a great year, but I kept thinking back. I'm like, if the upcycle is coming, now is the time to invest now, right at the beginning of it, so that way you're in a prime position to capitalize on this. I did not know the Iran war was coming. I didn't know
No.
fuel economy was going to be super important, probably one of the most important things. And then on top of it, now safety. So we, accidentally invested at the right place at the right time with the situation, which might, yield some crazy good dividends that I'm hoping for. Yeah, fingers crossed, man. Um, the the fuel economy has been fantastic on these trucks. They've kind of been like a nice level playing field. A good driver would have a nice uptick, a bad driver would have a down one. But this one seems to be like, there's still waves in it, but they all seem to be doing great. You know what I mean? No one's particularly getting worse than the other. A great fleet truck. I just saw this literally crazy thought. Saw this morning. They were saying for every day that this goes on, you can add a week to how long it'll take to get back to normal. So now we're like November of 27 is where we're at before they figure the prices will start to lower. So, and I don't know about you, but I don't think this is ending anytime this week. You know what I mean? I think this
Here's
might
my
go on
take.
for a few.
I debated saying this because this is a Trump friendly industry and I don't want to get shelled for the next 2 weeks. But I'm also a history guy. I have a history degree and I'm very fascinated by sort of the way this plays out. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Iran has any interest in opening that strait right now. I
No,
think they want to do to Trump what they did to Jimmy Carter when I was a kid. They held our guys hostage 444 days, and they don't like us. Who the president is immaterial. I mean, we could be looking at another 6 months. We could be looking at another year of this,
hmm
and I don't hear a lot of people planning long term like you just said. I mean, but I think if you're in this industry, you need to start thinking long term because I don't know. I don't see a quick resolution to this right now.
no, there's no way this ends quick. I'm I'm not going, I don't take the president out of it, but look at it from Iran's point of view. It's their only card they can
It's the
play.
only card they've got.
That's all they
You'd be
have,
foolish to give
right?
that up if that's the only card you've got. That's
So
any poker player knows that.
short of boots on the ground taking control of the country, I mean, that's what we're looking at right now to get this under. But I don't know if you want to dive into politics, like
No, I
it,
don't. I do
it,
not.
it, I'm working the theory that this, I'm not even saying that
Yeah, I know.
because
I know.
it seems like a lot of oil companies here in the United States are really cleaning house now. They're doing pretty well.
Hmm.
So the
Well, if
all we
it
can
does
do as an
drag on, you're
industry
in
is
good
fight
shape.
against it. Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
that's just it. All you can do is fight against it. I can't let my pride or my ego get in the way of this. I got to look at this and say, there's only so much. The big thing in trucking is like raise your rates to make your fuel, balance out. And I'm like, well, the consumer's only going to take so much of that.
That's
You know
another
what I
part
mean?
of this we haven't talked about yet.
You know,
Even going back to the Supreme Court stuff, this is all going to start getting passed down the line, and it really
hmm
hasn't started to hit everyday people yet.
yeah, and that'll help the economy right along, won't it?
Yeah,
Raising
yeah.
the rates of every single thing we have in this country. You know what I mean? Like eventually people are going to get back into the market once prices of trucks and everything go up, and so you just got to kind of find that balance so you can live in that in that median area, you know. I don't think a guy's going to get by with charging 20 bucks a mile in this industry for long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a guy that posted the other day a load of reefer freight that he got 20 bucks a mile. Now, that was the right place, the right time, and everything happened to fit perfectly, but I don't think you get away with that very long. So you can't look at it from that point of view. You know, you got to look at it like you're going to have to survive this. And this could go on for years,
It
you
could.
know,
It
and we
could.
could face shortages, and that's when really efficient equipment's going to be a huge win. So,
Well, hopefully, like you said, you sort of accidentally timed your purchase just right, and man, I hope that's the case. I know you do.
yeah, I mean, it's a $1 million investment now, $2 million in equipment, trucks, just in the hopes that this is the way it's going and it's going to work out. Even if it doesn't, you know, even if the prices come down tomorrow, fuel efficiency will always be king in trucking and surviving it. In my opinion, you look at some of the best fleets that are out there that have survived decades and decades of trucking, they have what in common? Fuel efficiency. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
that's the thing I look at.
You know, one of the ironies of this is, again, when Trump came in and he gutted the carb stuff, which was, I've written about, hugely unpopular. They went about it the wrong way. And everybody went, woohoo, diesel. And, you know, and now
Yeah,
we're, you know, it's just right back to, well, maybe fuel economy was important the whole time.
yeah. And, you know, hybrids, electric, you know, all that stuff definitely starts to make more sense once the
Yeah.
price of diesel hits seven,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
headed towards $8, could be more, who knows how long this thing lasts, you know, because the constraints are just hitting us now. And
Right.
that's the crazy part. Like this is just the beginning
Yeah.
of what could be a worse situation.
Yeah. Well,
Fun
this is
thoughts.
not the most uplifting conversation we've ever had, and I'll probably be fielding hate mail for the next week. But
No, no, this is fantastic. We got to talk about these things,
I
don't
think
we?
we do.
Yeah.
No. Before we talked, I thought if there's anybody I can honestly talk about this, it's you, because at the end of the day, I think you have to be pragmatic and just say, look, this is where we are right now, and this is the new environment, and you got to deal with it realistically. I don't care if you're just a consumer in Walmart or you're running a small trucking fleet out of Aberdeen, South Dakota.
And now you want to start investing in innovation, where Heavy Duty Trucking magazine comes in, displaying all this great innovation for fuel economy and safety and all these things that these manufacturers are going to be pushing. And it makes sense now financially to invest in
Hmm.
these things because it's going to save you, you know,
Yeah.
in these down times. So that's why I'm, not to give you guys a big shout out, but everyone out there that, I've looked at different products and I'm like, yeah, that saves you a nickel, but it's going to cost me 10 cents. Well, now, it might cost me 10 cents, but it's going to save me 15.
Hmm.
So it
Hmm.
makes sense now. So,
Well,
yeah.
Jamie, we always appreciate talking to you and getting your feedback. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good week out there in the. How cold is it in South Dakota right now?
There's a freeze warning.
I gotta go cut the grass later here in Alabama.
Try not to get sunburned, right?
Look, yeah, I did. I worked in the yard all weekend. I'm sunburned.
Right?
So, thanks, man. It's always great talking to you. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it, sir.
See you soon, man.
Yeah.